Christian, and church knows that such practices are openly disapproved in the Bible. But unfortunately, some bishops and church leaders have resorted to persecuting others who they consider to be primitive and narrow-minded, uneducated, and religious extremists, simply because they maintain that homosexual and lesbian lifestyle are condemned in Scripture as unnatural and means nothing but a gradual process of bringing the human society to extinction. Implication of the time, of the theme. The account of Haman's plot against the Jews and how God eventually turned the tide has so many implications for us today, especially when we take a deliberate look at the characters involved and the roles they played. From the activities of King Xerxes, Queen Esther, Haman, Mordecai, Esther's maids and attendants, Haman's family and friends, and the generality of the Jews in the provinces, there are lessons of eternal value for the individual Christian, the church, the government, the nation, and the world at large. Number one, to the individual Christian. In times like this, Christians with the heart of Esther and Mordecai are needed. Mordecai refused sycophancy and self-gratifications, but rather sought the salvation of the Jews, the oppressed people. He became the voice of the voiceless. Mordecai had other options, like asking to be sent out of the province with sufficient provisions such that he will never lack, and Esther would have conveniently yielded. That is the attitude of most representative of peoples and communities in government, who will only ask for their share, thereby enslaving their people and enriching themselves and their generations unborn. Mordecai never thought that way. Instead, he took the pains to convince the queen to act at the right time. Esther, on her part, figuratively gave her life for her people, because the step she took for the sake of the Jews was a perilous one and could have as well led to her death. In times like this, the world needs Christians like Mordecai and Esther, who are selfless in service and who have the knowledge and fear of God, who are willing to make sacrifices for the good of the populace and to the glory of God. To the church. The church of today has one crucial lesson to learn from the Jews of Esther's days, and that is unity of purpose in times like this. The whole Jews in the provinces had no way they could all appear before the king to make him understand their plight. Somebody, Esther, had to take that step on their behalf. But they all accompanied her in spirit through the power of concerted and consecrated days and nights of prayer and fasting. The bane of the Christian church today is interdenominational and intra-denominational differences, which has turned her strength into weaknesses. It has also given Satan wide inroads into the life of the church and made her to undermine the power of the word she preaches. It is disheartening that the church of God cannot, like the Jews of those days, seek the face of God in fasting and prayer for divine intervention in the nation. The church actually does not seem to believe anymore in the power of prayer and fasting If God can, in the days of Queen Esther, turn a well-hatched plan of genocide against God's people around, He can very much answer us today in times like these. But can the church of today pray? The possibility of martyrdom. Part of the response of the Christians and churches to the rising hostility of the world must include readiness for possible martyrdom, if God so wills. In the early church, believers faced similar situations, but they stood firm even unto death. Christians in Nigeria and around the world must be willing to give up all things, including life itself, to prove the genuineness of their discipleship. It is proper for us to reach the words of Jesus Christ. Don't be afraid of what you are about to suffer. The devil will throw some of you into prison to test you. You will suffer for 10 days. But if you remain faithful, even when facing death, I will give you the crown of life. In the government, it is indeed true that when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. The promotion of Haman was an appointment of a wrong person to authority. Someone who has the heart to plot genocide should not have the life of any people committed to him. King Xerxes made a terrible mistake to have appointed such a character, and that is a lesson for our leaders at whatever level of governance. And also for the electorate, especially as we see 2015 drawing closer. Furthermore, it is even more wearisome that King Xerxes did not object to the scheme of Haman, not even a question on why he should. Not even a question on why he should think of wiping out a whole race in one day. It might as well be that the king was a lover of money, because modern scholars have placed the value of what Haman promised the king in modern rate to be about $25 million. Haman was a very wealthy man, but like some people today, used his wealth for evil and to destroy others. Therefore, genocide is not something new, and it is also obvious that such evils happen and thrive because of the selfishness of some people of power and influence who are only interested in financial gain, even at the cost of the lives of the people. No government should lose sight of the fact that he represents God, who created all the subjects and loves them equally. Tribes, language, color, religion, political affiliation, and so on notwithstanding. In the nation. In times like this, our nation needs divine intervention. At this time of terrorism and political maneuvering, the last thing the nation should condone should be the characters like those of Haman's friends and wife, who instead of bringing him back to his senses, ill-advised him to prepare gallows to hang an innocent man. Our nation needs people who will be willing, like Mordecai, to expose and oppose evil, even at the risk of their own lives. Not people who will bend facts because of selfish gains or any afflictions. Religious, political, ethnic, tribal, and so on. We must know that righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. To the world, the whole world is in turmoil with rioting, terrorism, perpetration of religious genocide, wars, and wanton destruction of lives and property. In a time like this, when ISIS and other terrorist groups are stirring up the world, the international community should rise and condemn the activities with one voice. Because like Mordecai warned Esther, no part of the world should feel secure, as terrorism like wildfire can spread to anywhere faster than can be imagined. People should be free anywhere to practice their religious faith without intimidation and molestation of any form. In times like this, international politics or selfishness must give way to justice, equity, peaceful coexistence. Summary of individual needs in times like this. The challenges of the times are multifaceted, with different parts of the world struggling with one type or the other. Some of the incidents of this age can only be described as bad omen for the human race. Human beings have grown so callous that you cannot find any explanation for their wickedness and dastardly acts against fellow humans. A Malaysian plane went completely missing with about 300 persons on board the aircraft, both crew and passengers, without any definite trace to date. Again, another passenger Malaysian plane was downed not too long ago for no crime of the passengers, just some persons satisfying their sadistic motives. These do not portend hope for the future. Africa is also having her own fair share of the evils of these times, and some African countries are as though facing gradual progression towards extinction, either by self-inflicted destruction or by natural evils. There has been a protracted religious war between Muslims and Christians in the Central African Republic, arising from religious bigotry. Besides, this man's inhumanity to man, in some West African countries, especially Sierra Leone, Guinea, and Liberia, the Ebola scourge has taken heavy toll with minimal success in the fight to curb the pestilence. In times like this, Christians need to develop the following attitude to cope with the times and to conquer the challenges thereof. 1, courage. This is to be brave in the face of challenges, and it is God who gives us the spirit of boldness. Not to fear. God said to Joshua, "This is my command, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." In times like this, we need perseverance. This means ability to endure hardships without complaining as a good soldier of Christ. Apostle Paul admonished his son in the Lord, "But you, Timothy, are a man of God, so run from all these evil things. Pursue righteousness and a godly life, along with faith, love, perseverance, and gentleness. Fight the good fight of the true faith." Steadfast faith at a time like this, we need it. This is the faith that does not give up, the faith that conquers the world, faith that is unwavering, unfaltering, resolute, and persistent. In the fight of faith, we are commanded to, above all, take the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. At a time like this, we should be prayerful. Prayer is indispensable in the struggle to overcome the times and in the battle of the times. We are commanded to be praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, and watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints, and also to pray without ceasing. So in times like this, every individual Christian needs to be prayerful. Number 5, we need to be righteous. Righteousness. This means to be full of good thoughts, good words, and good deeds or actions. And it is a strong tool against the enemy. With righteous living, we present to the world testimony that cannot be denied. Do all things without murmurings and disputings, that ye may be harmless, ye may be blameless and harmless, the sons of God, without rebuke, in the midst of a crooked and perverse nation, among whom ye shine as lights in the world, holding forth the word of life. Number 6, spiritually sensitive.